Hello and welcome to Secrets for a Happy Life podcast. I'm Petra Bitenc, your licensed transformational coach, and I am so happy you're here with me today. Let's talk about two fascinating concepts that have the power to shape our everyday experiences in big ways: the Pygmalion Effect and the Golem Effect. The names might sound a bit grand, but they are really about one thing: how beliefs and expectations can influence our performance and even our entire path. The Pygmalion Effect is named after a mythical Greek sculptor who carved a statue so beautiful that he fell in love with it. Legend says his unwavering devotion brought the statue to life, which captures the essence of the phenomenon, a fervent belief that can turn possibility into reality. In modern psychology, the Pygmalion Effect describes how higher expectations lead to better performance. One classic study comes to mind by researchers Robert Rosenthal and Leonore Jacobson, who told elementary school teachers that certain students that were randomly selected were due for a sudden growth spurt in intelligence. Unsurprisingly, those students performed significantly better by the end of the year. But it wasn't magic. It was the teacher's belief, communicated through warmer interactions, more challenging tasks, and constructive feedback, that fueled the students' increased success. It's like sprinkling a bit of fairy dust on someone's potential. Once you believe in them, they often rise to meet that belief. But let's not forget there's another side of this coin. The Golem Effect, named after the folklore creature molded from clay, it's all about the drag that negative expectations can create. Think about a manager who assumes an employee is underperforming, or a teacher who decides a student is just not as bright. That perception can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, often resulting in exactly the poor performance they anticipated. Low expectations tend to dampen effort and foster a sense of hopelessness. In a way, these two effects might remind you of gardening. Provide sunshine, those are positive words, and nutrients, constructive feedback, and the plant grows strong and tall. Neglect it or feed it poison, negative assumptions, and it withers. Numerous studies back up this idea, behind just the Rosenthal-Jacobson one. Meta-analyses show that when leaders, teachers, or mentors consistently communicate the belief that a person can succeed, performance can improve by around 10 to 15% in some settings. Can you imagine that? That's a lot. 10 to 15% is a lot. Enough to make a noticeable difference in test scores, work output, or personal goals. In plain terms, people often give you what you expect to see. And this isn't just limited to authority figures. We experience it in all kinds of relationships. Have you ever been around someone who says, "I know you'll absolutely crush this exam," and suddenly you feel more confident? I know I had. Or on the flip side, someone who throws you in casual, "Oh, you might not do well. This is pretty tough, Better not to even try." And suddenly your stomach twists in knots. This is the Pygmalion or Golem effect in action. What's really intriguing is how these expectations extend to our internal narratives. We've all got that little voice in our head brewing potions of confidence or self-doubt. We often forget that it's our own expectations of ourselves, positive or negative, that can spark or stifle personal growth. Telling yourself, "I'm just not cut out for this," is a surefire way to make everything feel impossible. But reframing that to, "Oh, this is challenging, but I learn a lot trying," can act like an empowering force, nudging you to take on new challenges. It's a subtle shift, But over time, these small changes in self-talk create a domino effect in how you approach almost everything in life. Now, here's where we can have a bit of fun. Think of expectations as invisible potions you're always brewing in the back of your minds. Positivity can be the elixir of success, while negativity can work like a slow-acting poison. When you truly believe someone can excel, you naturally do all those little things, smile more, show genuine interest, often offer encouragement that help them excel. Likewise, if you secretly suspect they're going to fail, you might hold back on that supportive feedback or shy away from giving them a challenge that could help them grow. Before you know it, the person starts to live down to your low expectations instead for up to their potential. It's as if we're all a little like sunflowers. If you shower us with light and warmth, we'll turn toward the sun and flourish. Feels good. But if you hide us in the shade and give us nothing but gloom, we'll drop. So, how can you use this knowledge to your advantage? One thing we can do is become more intentional about setting our expectations of ourselves and others at a level that stretches us just enough to grow, but not so high that we burn out. If you're a teacher, for instance, look at a struggling student and try to see the strength that might be hiding behind the lack of confidence. If you're a manager, on the other side, pay attention to the words you use when you address your team. Simply saying, "I believe you can tackle this project successfully," can spark the Pygmalion Effect. Whereas, "Let's hope this goes better than last time," might induce the Golem Effect. And in personal relationships, whether with friends, family, or romantic partners, voicing your faith in their abilities or character can plant seeds that blossom into greater trust, openness, and joy. It's also helpful to pause and ask yourself some reflective questions. Do you tend to assume the worst about your own capabilities when you're learning something new or stepping outside your comfort zone? That's a clue you might be falling into the golem trap with yourself. How could you flip that script and remind yourself of past successes or the possibility of growth? And similarly, when you think of others around you, maybe a coworker, a sibling, a friend, or a spouse, have you silently written them off in some area? What would happen if you instead looked for evidence of their potential, even if it's just a glimmer? The funny thing is, Sometimes just noticing these assumptions can spark a positive chain reaction. Once you realize you've been brewing a negative potion, it's a lot easier to adjust the recipe. And it doesn't require a grand speech or insincere flattery. No, genuine encouragement, honest feedback, and a calm but confident belief in someone or your own ability can tip the scales toward success. On a really practical level, you might set small, achievable goals to reaffirm that these expectations can be met. Each little win builds momentum, strengthening the belief that more wins are possible. Isn't that good? When all is said and done, the lesson is straightforward. Be mindful of the stories you tell yourself and the stories you tell about others. The Pygmalion Effect can lift us up, and the Golem Effect can pull us down, and the force behind both is often invisible, hidden in everyday words, gestures, and assumptions we take for granted. The good news is that once we understand this dynamic, we can choose to be more deliberate. We can choose to water the seeds of potential with kindness and belief, rather than wash them away with doubt. So, thank you for joining me today on Secrets for a Happy Life podcast. I hope these insights on the Pygmalion and Golem effect have given you something to think about, whether you're setting expectations for yourself, your children, your colleagues, or anyone else in your life. If you found today's discussion enlightening, share it with someone who could use a little boost of positive expectations. Let's keep striving for that better, happier, more fulfilling life. I'm Petra Bitenc, and until next time, remember that a small shift in belief can change everything. Keep believing in yourself and those around you. You never know the difference it might make. So keep spreading light, keep spreading a little bit more joy and laughter, and see you next time. Thank you.